Hello, my name's Chippy, the developer of Eggman's Deckbuilder. If you're watching this from the website, welcome. If you're on YouTube, you can find the link to the site in the description below. Jumping right in, going over the website. When you land on the site, you'll be mated with this landing page that kind of just has a brief rundown of what we're trying to do here. Two buttons here, event coverage, which will take you to eggmanevents.com, where you can find tournament results for all the games we support, and explore Deckbuilder, which will allow you to start looking at cards or building decks for the games as well. These drop downs up here as well will be features that you can find in the Deckbuilder anyway. So we're going to go in. I'm going to pick One Piece since it's the game I'm most familiar with. We are also going to be supporting Riftbound and other games in the future. Just waiting for rights approval on that one and a couple other games that are possibly in the works. So for One Piece, once you get onto the page, you'll find that there's a new nav bar that's a game-specific nav bar. Kind of lets you explore the different features of the game that you're looking at. So for One Piece, we have card list, deck, collection, meta, starter decks. Looking at card list is the one you'll be starting on, and here you'll be met with a big filter dashboard that you can hide if you don't want to use the filters. Otherwise, you'll have these options here to filter by cost with this little bar, so you can see the cards are changing as I'm adjusting these filters. You can also type things, so here I'm going to look for Luffy, and I have all these Luffy cards, kind of a lot of them, so I've decided I want to find Supernova Luffys. You can click this plus to get a second search text bar, and we'll type in Supernova here, and now we're met with only Supernova Luffys. Other things you can do is filter by color, of course. So here I only want red ones, or I only want them to match the leader that's in my deck. So I left click here to add this Luffy to my deck, and then I match leader colors to match cards to my leader, and now I can only see red and green cards. Here I can also only look at triggers, so there's no Luffy Supernovas with triggers, but if I take out the Supernova, get a couple Luffys here with triggers, or cards that have the name Luffy in their card name. So for example, this has Luffy in his name. You can also hide leaders from the list if you already have your leader selected and you just want to look through cards, and clear filters to get everything back into normal. These features are available on all games, but they're going to be different depending on the game, which I will show a little bit of later. But for example, Gundam has HP, so that'll be one of the sliders as well. Moving to the actual cards themselves, when you hover them, they'll have this little effect so you can know which one you're looking at. And you'll see these buttons that appear here, as well as this button above, which will show you how many copies of that card are already in your deck. And you have these buttons here to change the art, add or subtract the amount in your deck. It's a leader, so it can only have one. Or view the actual big detailed version of the card. Here you can kind of look more at the effect and details and see the different attributes of the card, as well as look at the alt art a little bigger. You also have the option of using these key arrows here to move through cards. You can also use your arrow keys on your keyboard to move through them as well. Another thing about this detailed view is that if I have these cards selected into my deck, and I view the deck from my selected deck, I can use the arrow keys to move through the cards that are in my deck instead of moving through the cards in the card list. Above the deck list preview, you'll see a couple buttons here. This will let you save your deck, so I'm going to save this as Law Test and save that. Options here, we have stats. You can look at the cost curve, counter, and then the different types of attributes that are in your deck or your types. And here you have characters, events, stages, and other details like that. Link is going to provide you a deck URL that's going to be able to allow you to share with your friends. So here I can clear my deck just to show that it does load correctly, and I can enter this into my URL, and you'll see that it loads the deck into the deck view, which is this next category here. So we're going to go back to the deck, and here you can look at the deck in one view. You can hit this split here to kind of split up the cards into special and main deck. So special is going to be your leader, for Fusion World your leader, for Riftbound your leader, and your runes and your battlefields. So this section is used a little bit more in other games like Digimon as well, your egg deck, but It's nice to see the cards separated sometimes if you want to just look at the deck without the leader. Same things apply here. You have your stats. You can save your deck, copy the link, or clear it. And the other thing is if you right click in here and you move through, it will also go through the cards in your deck instead of going through the cards in the card list. And the next section is going to be your collection, which is going to be all the decks that you've saved. Here you have a couple. You can see I saved a couple that I tested for. I have one here called Buy List, which is just going to be a way for me to track the cards that I want to purchase at my next locals. And then we have some decks here that I was testing out and looking at. So here you can hit View Deck to load the deck, and it'll bring you back to this view. You can look at some of the stats or change the ratios if you'd like. So I don't want to run the 8 cost event, so I go through the card list and I put in I want to run this beige instead, or this Cavendish. So let's see here, it'll turn red because I have too many cards in my deck. Take one beige out, go back to my deck, and this is the final look. So that's going to be your collection. You can delete your decks too if you want. You could store as many as you want. There should be no issue. The only problem is that these are only going to be on the device that you save them on. Eventually, we're looking to add accounts, so look out for the update. The next button is going to be the meta, which is a really important tab here, where you can get a lot of information about what people are playing and what ratios they're currently running in those leaders. This feature is only available for One Piece at the moment, but we are looking to bring this to the other games very soon, now that I have a solid framework for how I want the page to look and how it actually reads the data. So in here, you can go to card ratios for ace, and you can see that every single ace list that has gotten top 32, or maybe has won a store treasure cup, store regional. These are all decks that have done well in a competitive setting, essentially. You can scroll down here and you can see different ratios. Radical Beam being one of the cards that a lot of people run at 1, but not in every deck. And then we have some tech cards down here. You can get an idea of what you might see in these decks, in case so you're not too surprised. So Promo Law here, Snake Dance, Boa, Weevil, Ezo. So it's a good way to understand what people are thinking about and what tech cards they're playing for certain matchups. The other cool thing about this section is I go back to overview, so I can go back to this part of the section. I can hit build starter deck, and this will kind of take the core cards that everyone uses in this deck. Essentially cards that are only 70% or higher and that appear in that deck with that quantity will be in this. So it only has 48 cards in my deck, and it's suggesting I add Radical Beam, but I'm going to go ahead and not do that. And so here we have our 48 card list, and I can go back to the card list and add 2 more beiges. Now I have a full deck made out of mostly a competitive deck. That's mostly it for the meta section. I think it's going to be very helpful for people, and I just need to make sure I keep it updated. And again, make sure you look out for the updates for the other games. The final tab is the starter decks. This is going to allow you to understand what you're purchasing before you actually buy a starter deck. It's kind of hard to find the exact ratios for what comes in a starter deck. So if I was going to purchase this Learn to Play Zoro, I can hit View Deck here, and I can now look, okay, it comes with 1 9-cost Zoro and 2 Cavendishes. So I either need to buy 2 more Cavendishes or buy a second copy of this so that I can have for my green Zoro deck. And same thing here, you can kind of just like altar out your deck. Alt arts will be consistent throughout the deck builder, so I changed the art here. I go down here and I scroll a little bit, and you'll see that the alt arts have remained. So Cavendish here has the alt art changed. If I go Cavendish here, you'll see that the art is changed here. I'll change it again back, and you'll see again it'll change here. It will also be consistent when you export your deck as an image. So if you want to flex that you have, the prize card, Cavendish, you can change that, export deck, export as an image, and you will export out the whole deck with the images of whatever's presented here. Moving on to these buttons on the side here, tournaments is going to take you to the Eggman events site where you can see tournament results for the game that you have selected, so One Piece in particular this time. You can also do ban lists to check out and keep up to date with what cards are legal in the game that you're playing. This I will try to keep updated as well as news comes out, but some of this stuff is updated manually, so it's hard to get it fully updated. But everything is up to date at the moment. Next button is going to be for test hands. You can build your deck and kind of just look at what your opening hand looks like a couple times and make sure that the ratios are good and they're up to what you want out of your game. You can draw some cards to see if you see the cards enough, the cards you're looking for early enough. Next thing is this is just a filter button. It just allows you to scroll down a lot through the card list and then still filter things. So I can go here, I can remove this Cavendish filter, scroll a bunch more, and still, apply a filter of like 1,000 counters only, and then it filters it while I'm still scrolling. So also helps for mobile. Last thing is the settings button. You can save deck as we showed earlier. View save decks, which sends you the collection. Copy link to share with your friends. I'm going to copy one right now. Import, export. Import is via text. If you get a message from someone or you want to export from Sim, you can import into the Deckbuilder and save it. And export deck is going to allow you to export via text for the sim, URL to share with your friends, tabletop sim if you want to play on tabletop, and image if you want to post an image of the deck you played at a tournament, or you just want to share the thing you've been cooking. You want to post it somewhere, you can save an image. Some new features are coming to that as well in the future, so look out for that. I believe that is everything. There is a couple things I want to show that are kind of neat, like being able to click this save button here will let you save. As you scroll, your deck will stay with you. Another thing is if you leave the website and you go back, and I go back to One Piece, it will keep the deck that I was last working on, basically forever, on this platform. So I'm on my desktop computer, it'll save that information. If I go on my phone, it won't have that saved. If you switch games, same thing. I was working on a Fusion World deck, as you can see here, and it's now saved. So I can go back to One Piece and still have my other deck. I believe that is everything that has been changed. So I appreciate everyone that uses the platform. I've been working really hard to get it updated and try to get it as a cleaner website to use. Mobile has been updated a lot, so it's much easier to use it on mobile. So make sure you test that out and let me know what you think. If you have any feedback, you can check out our Discord at the top here to join Eggman's Discord, and we have a section in there for website feedback. But you can also leave a comment in the section below. I'll try to take a look at that and respond. Last thing is, you'll notice if you go on the website, there will be ads. I spend a lot of time working on this website, so I try to find a way to monetize it a little bit without having to force people to pay for certain content. I want to make sure that all the features are available to everybody and nothing is behind a paid wall. But we will likely add a Patreon later in the future if you want to support us, but it's not mandatory. All it will do is remove ads. Maybe give you some Discord stuff, or not sure. Gonna have to look into that a little more. But that's everything. Thanks for taking time to watch the video, and enjoy.